Enterprise development has been growing in South Africa since entrepreneurs have been called on to come up with more innovative ideas. Are business development programs effective? As part of Entrepreneur Month, we focus on this subject that seeks to celebrate young entrepreneurs for their efforts in developing business, contributing to GDP growth and creating those much needed jobs. We're joined by Zandile Njamela from Accenture Global. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Colin, for having me on studio.
Would you say all in all these support programs for SMMEs are effective?
Yes, I would, especially ours. I'll definitely say that. However, within the bigger scope of the ecosystem, some work needs to be done to make sure that they are effective and do respond to the SME needs.
Most people would say that usually when we talk about support programs, we talk about the initial stage, incubation, and meeting them halfway through. But do these programs see SMMEs in the end? Because I'll tell you, from January to July this year, we had about 1,500 SMMEs shut their doors. But we've got companies saying that they sing in praises and shouting from the rooftops that they are doing so much to help young entrepreneurs.
So I think for a program to be effective, it needs to cater to three things, right? So the first one are the SMEs themselves. The spray and hope or spray and pray approach doesn't work. It has to be bespoke. It has to answer to the actual entrepreneur's needs, right? So it needs to talk to me as Zandi Inc., right? Because I'm a different business, I've got different needs, and therefore the corporate must be able to cater to me in that regard. The second part, it needs to answer to the organization itself. So in terms of Accenture, there has to be a business case why Accenture should keep doing this and what value the program adds to Accenture. So in our corporate, we have specifically defined that there's a clear return on investment because the same entrepreneurs that we're supporting are the same entrepreneurs that we want to procure from, number one. We want to partner with and go to market together, number two. So therefore, there's synergies in what Accenture offers in the market and what these SMEs. They are part of our strategic growth, right? So we're wanting to explore ways of growing through acquisitions, right? So we're looking at these entrepreneurs as well.
So setting up all these investment opportunities for SMMEs, whether through funding models of angel investors or venture capitalists, or grants or loans, most of the time research has revealed that some of them are weary of handing over a certain percentage of their companies during these discussions because they feel edged out in the end, and then companies want to buy them out when their ideas are viable, and therefore they find themselves only being shareholders or employees in the end.
Yes. Definitely. I mean, I think it has its own dynamics, especially when you talk about venture capitalists and venture angel investing. But you know, SMEs, there's so much support out there, right? So, you know, you're not only limited to financing. And what we've realized is that it's not actually money that entrepreneurs need. They need the actual support and the actual advice, right? And they need opportunities. That's the biggest thing. It's access to market. They want to be part of the supply chain, right? And the more we do that and the more corporates open that, then you find that more and more SMEs are actually keep their doors opening and they're flourishing instead of closing down.
So how would you rather advise these entrepreneurs? Should they compete? And you know that you can't just enter a shark's tank and want to compete with the big players. Most of the time, they end up drowning. So what's the different and the most unique approach?
So let's remember, every company was once a startup, right? So there is a process to growth, right? There's a process to scaling, but they must not be afraid that because they are here now, they are starting up, that they will not get to be a medium, large size enterprise. But the advice is compliance is very important, right? Process, strategy, business model is very important. Understand what you're offering in the market, understand what the gap is, and focus on that gap. Don't be afraid of competition, right? South Africa and the world is ripe for SMEs, right? SMEs are the solution to the economic growth. Big corporates know that, right? So hence, at Accenture, we understand, and SMEs are part of our fiber, because they bring an innovation that a big corporate who is in technology cannot come through, right? They're faster to market, they're more nimble, they're able to test out solutions faster than we can, right? So we are able to build and build different practices within our organization solely by partnering with SMEs. So there's a definitely opportunity, there's a gap they must play in, but they must understand exactly what they're playing and offering the market.
All right, thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Right, that's Zandile Njamela from Accenture Global. And over to Palesa.